This lecture is based on the 7 principles that make a marriage work. And in fact, we're going to add 2 more principles to it. It's based on John Gottman's bestseller, The 7 Principles That Make a Marriage Work. Last spring, John did a book called The Science of Trust, where he re-examined his research data and revamped the theory of what forms a happy, stable relationship. So this lecture is going to keep those 2 books in mind. It's going to meld the concepts, putting this lecture on the cutting edge of the art and science of love. Now, in our culture, it tends to highlight and to celebrate and value individuality, individual expression, personal rights and freedoms, and it does so minimizing and even ignoring the fact that we are both individuals and individuals that are dependent upon one another. Interdependence is a very basic human condition. It is woven into our genes. We need each other. Dependency begins in childhood. A child needs to be fed, a child needs to be clothed, a child needs to be sheltered. And more than that, a child needs to feel safe and be protected and be soothed when they are distressed. And more than that, a child needs to know that they are loved. They need to know inside themselves that they are lovable. They need to see us wonder at their beauty and their abilities and their very being, to know inside their head that they are wonderful. Now, I want you to look at my son up there in the corner, and he's looking down at my grandson. And he's looking with love and with affection. And Evan looks back at him, and Evan's reaching up to the face that shows this love, that shows this wonderment, that holds this for him. He wants to touch that face. And because this is being shown to him, because he is being loved in this way, Evan's brain changes. It literally changes. The synapses grow, and the interconnections between those synapses grow, and he knows through that he is lovable. Now, I know that not all of us here have had the experience of being loved like this. Just yesterday, we were walking to doing some shopping and a little bit of banking, and we saw a man who was walking in front of his 4 children, and his boy fell. And he said, "Get up! Hurry up! Come here! Come on! Come here!" And there was no soothing. And my wife and I talked about that as we walked along. And then we got to the video store, and as we were going into the video store, there was a mother, and her little girl, who's about this high, had fallen. And she said, "You fell over your damn feet, did you?" And the little girl just stood there and cried, not really approaching her mother, just stood there and cried. And she said, "You fell, didn't you? You fell over your feet, didn't you? Come here." And so the little girl approached her, and the mother sort of looked at her and had this sort of disgusted sort of look, looking at her to see if she was hurt in some way. Now, that little girl might struggle with her sense of self as being lovable. She may even struggle with her sense of being worthy of love. But here's the good news. The good news is that our brain can reshape itself. Our brain can allow us to know other things through new experiences with one another. We can develop neural pathways and remember them. We can experience love and wonderment within our relationship and come to know that we are loved and that we are wonderful. And that is something that is very, very beautiful. For those of us that have experienced love like Mark offers my grandson, then our need does not change. we continue to need to know that we are lovable. We need to continue to know that we are wonderful. Our dependency in childhood shifts to an interdependency in adulthood. Now, if you look at my daughter, who is looking at Tim, who is here setting up the cameras, he'd be very red right now. If you look at her, you could see, do you see that? It's the same look that my son gives my grandson. She gives her buffed and polished husband. And you look at Tim's face. Look at how he looks back at her, and he has this smile, this pleasure, as he takes in this sense of love from her. We too need to be in relationships that soothe us like our children, that provide safety and protection from the world around us, that give us a sense of security, that we're there for each other, and where we experience this fundamental sense of who we are as being lovable and wonderful as human beings. So when I'm finished today, what I hope to do is to create to give you an understanding of how to create and hold on to this felt sense of connection with your spouse.